Hello everyone, and welcome to Boxes of Comics. I am your host, Chase Higgins, and today we are talking about the good and the bad from Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And if you are returning to watch our videos, make sure to always share our videos with your friends, and welcome back. I hope that you enjoy our content. So this week's episode we will be concluding the prequel trilogy of the Star Wars saga. So will be interesting because if you've been following along, we did reviews for episode 1 and episode 2. So this video we will do episode 3 and conclude the prequel trilogy before moving on to the original trilogy. Revenge of the Sith was released May 19th, 2005. It was the third and final movie in the prequel trilogy. This told the story of what happened before episodes 4, 5, and 6. And this film was written and directed by George Lucas and was produced by Lucasfilm while distributed by 20th Century Fox. The film stars Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, and Matthew Wood as General Grievous, along with many others. Now that we have given you some background information, let's review this movie. I hope that you have subscribed by now. Do it. So, we will begin our things with the movie that I liked and enjoyed, along with things that I think could have been better. First, we will do things that I felt like could have been improved, and then we will move on to things that I actually enjoyed. So this movie is definitely the best out of the prequel trilogy, as it wraps up movies, all three of them, very nicely and ends the trilogy with very little flaws. So one of the first issues I have with this movie was the death of Count Dooku. Since Dooku wasn't that great in episode 2, I thought that they could have made him the Darth Vader, like an apprentice, and kill him off at the end of the movie, but instead they decided to kill him off at the beginning of the movie and then have General Grievous be the main bad guy, which is fine, whatever. But I just felt like he got introduced at 2 and they could have used him a bit more. So Dooku, at the moment where Dooku was about to be killed, I felt like he could have very easily told Anakin that Palpatine was the Sith Lord, but instead we have him just looking dumbfounded, and then he dies. So that didn't make sense, because like if I was about to die, I would have been like, Master, I'm gonna die, so now I'm gonna foil your plans to rule the galaxy since I can't do it. But another flaw with this great movie is the death of Padme Amidala. Throughout the entire trilogy, Padme was a great key character and not a Mary Sue. Cough, right? Cough. And I felt like she was able to hold her own on Naboo during The Phantom Menace, while Darth Maul fought Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. And she was also very impressive in episode 2 on Geonosis. It's very sad to see a good character be killed off because of sadness. Coming in at number 3 is the iconic nose screamed by Darth Vader. I thought it was kind of cringe to watch because I felt like there would have been more dialogue than that, because like I would have screamed and then like asked questions and then like tried to kill the Emperor instead of just like yelling no, but that's okay. That's just me. But like I said, I thought he should have lashed out at the Emperor and have Anakin try to attack his new master, which does happen in the comic book. If you are following along with us, that is what happens. The comic book is Star Wars Darth Vader, but that's completely different from here. Another bad thing about this movie is that I felt could have made it longer, and it could have added a bit more scenes to make it flow a bit more smooth. But that's okay, because I thought it would have been cool to see like a young Han Solo and maybe Obi-Wan and Anakin team up on Mustafar. But although like these were cut, it makes sense why, because it would have disrupted the flow of the movie. And I just felt like George could have possibly added 8 to 10 more minutes of footage. The final bad thing that I have about this movie, and is the reason why I watched it a couple of times during my review, was that we never find out who was behind Anakin's creation. In episode 1, his mom tells Qui-Gon there was no dad, and then I felt like if George were to explore a bit more on the midichlorians, he could have answered that question for this trilogy. But because of their backlash that they got in episode 1, fans didn't like the whole midichlorian force thing. I felt like George just left it dead. But that's okay. So those are the things that I don't like. Now it's time to move on to things that I thought were good. So the first thing that I love about this movie was Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. I felt like he did a good job showing the conflict within Anakin as he appears as the sympathetic, tragic hero that George Lucas always intended Anakin to be. Christensen does do a good job when his character goes into the darkness and relays hate, anger, and jealousy towards other characters like Obi-Wan or Padme, which makes him a great Anakin Skywalker. Another great thing about this movie is the tone. This movie is by far the darkest of all of the Star Wars movies, and it shows the events of the Empire's rise and the Jedi dying and Anakin's transition into darkness, which I thought was all executed very well. The third best thing that I love about this movie is the fighting. Throughout the movie, there are so many cool lightsaber duels and clone fights. I think it's pretty crazy how they were able to get just such great choreography on all those different fight things. It's also a positive that George added so many fight scenes, because their first duel with Anakin and Obi-Wan is only about probably 10 to 15 minutes into the movie. Although the best is Anakin and Obi-Wan, there are many others that I recognize from the movie, such as Yoda and Palpatine or Obi-Wan and Grievous, that just make this movie so great. And speaking of lightsaber battles, another great one off of this movie is Emperor Palpatine. Though in the first two movies it is unclear how the Emperor becomes so powerful and the Empire is formed, it does answer those questions in the third movie, and it is done perfectly. I think Ian McDiarmid does a great job of being the Emperor, and he is a fascinating character, especially when he kills Mace Windu, the way he runs, or the way he turns Anakin into the darkness and just like plays the strings perfectly. It's really cool to see from that talented actor. The final great thing that this movie has was the explanations into as the first two movies in this new trilogy weren't great and left people wondering about many things. I felt like this movie did a great job and completed the prequel trilogy so wonderfully and answered a lot of questions, if not all the questions. Some of the questions that I always have, like rewatching these, are like, why did loyal clones become stormtroopers? Like, did the loyal clones, did they become stormtroopers? And then it's like, oh yeah, they did, because Order 66, they've got a brain chip, and everybody turns bad, except for the Bad Batch, which is completely different. But I thought it implemented, having it implemented in the clones at birth, it's really cool to see. And then they just like do things without question, and they just think that they're on the right side. Another thing is like, why can't 3PO remember anything from in the original trilogy? Why can't he remember things that happened in the prequel? And that's because him and R2 had their memory wiped, but R2 was still able to remember because it wasn't fully wiped. So those are the things that I found good and I found bad. Let me know if you have anything else that you'd like to add. So, all in all, this movie is definitely an 8 or a 9 out of 10 on the Boxes of Comics scale. If you haven't seen it yet, I think you need to check it out. So, for me personally, Revenge of the Sith is definitely top 3 on my Star Wars watch list. And I feel like George did a good job in finding a way not to just complete the trilogy, but end the entire saga together on a high note. So that's all the time we have for today. And if you've liked this video and you like the other 2 videos, make sure that you subscribe and show your friends. Let me know down in the comments, what's your favorite character from Star Wars? Or what do you like from this movie? Or what do you not like? Which trilogy do you think is the best? So, like I said, that's all we have for today. I hope you have a great rest of your time, and don't forget to check back next time we post a video. Thank you for watching Boxes of Comics. Bye.